Good morning. Thanks everyone for coming. This is a shock for me that I was going to do this morning, so just bear with me. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Kevin Cole. Kevin, we are same graduates of UAPB, by the way. Yeah, I like that when I read that. Mr. Cole received his BS degree from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and MA in Art Education from the University of Illinois. Within the last 32 years, he has received 31 grants and fellowships, 66 awards in art, 51 teaching awards. He received the Working Artist Fellowship from the Museum of Contemporary Art in Georgia. On February 1, 2022, he received a proclamation from the city of South Fulton proclaiming February 1, 2022, Kevin Cole Day. In December, Mr. Cole received the 2020 Governor's Award for the Arts and Humanities of the state of Georgia and the 2019 Nexus Award from the Atlanta Contemporary Art Center in Atlanta. Mr. Cole received the Art Aspiration Award by the National Society Incorporation for his dedication to students' achievements, and the Brenda and Larry Thomas Award from the Georgia Museum of Art in Athens, Georgia. The 2020 Trailblazer Award from Salem Bible Church in Atlanta, Georgia. His artwork has been featured in more than 504 exhibitions throughout the United States and abroad. There's so much here to review here, but I know you didn't come here to hear me, so I'm going to get to the end of this. And what I thought was so unique about this introduction was that he also has private collections that include NBA grants such as Michael Jordan, Grant Hill, Bernice King, Darrell Walker, Rod Strickland, and Elliot Perry. Mr. Cole has also created more than 45 public art works, including the Coca-Cola Centennial Olympic mural for the 1996 Olympic Games. And I'm sure we all remember that because I was there too. Mr. Cole, great work there. So thank you so much for all the things that you've done for the community. Your artwork has been featured in more than 141 publications, recently in the Forbes magazine. We appreciate your work, what you've done, and speed on.
Thank you.
Sure.
First, let me give my appreciation for y'all including me in this. This first image that you see is an image of my mom. I painted when I was 17 years old. One of the questions I'm always asked is, why did you become an artist? I have a speech impediment, I stutter. So my mom would always tell me to go make mama a picture whenever I had a bad day. So that was one of the reasons that I became an artist. So, let's see. So, for the last 15 to 30 years, my work have dealt with these issues. Number one, the story that my grandfather told me. Number 2 and 3, September 11, Hurricane Katrina and COVID-19 have changed our lives forever, as well as George Floyd, gerrymandering, voting, and a place where I did a lot of research called the Legacy Museum. This is a lynching that took place close to my grandfather's house. When I graduated from high school, I didn't want to go and register to vote. He took me to the street where African Americans were lynched by that neck on the way to vote. Later on, there was a book published called Without Sanction, documented this lynching that took place close to his property. And in doing my research at the Legacy Museum, I found out this was the actual lynching that took place in Terry, Arkansas, where he lived. And when I talk about September 11th, I was supposed to be in New York that day. I decided a week earlier that I wasn't going. So a friend of mine, he took a picture of a little boy holding a piece of aluminum and tar paper. So I started working on aluminum and tar paper as my protest against September 11th. I had a lot of friends and frat brothers who lived in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina, I traveled back and forth, and I did a whole series of works based on New Orleans and the hurricane. And this is a book on this is a map of gerrymandering, which my last exhibition was fixed about. I talk about it. And this was the mural I did for the 1996 Olympics. The Coca-Cola company, who was the official sponsor of the Olympic, wanted to find a way to welcome the world to Atlanta. So what they did was they asked people to nominate somebody who they thought was an unsung hero, who had made major contributions to the state of Georgia. And how do you do a 15-story mural and never touch the wall? I'm going to explain it to you at this point. They looked at over a thousand artists from all over the world, and the way that I was selected, I told them how many days it rained in Atlanta from 1990 to 1994, how many days it snowed, how many days it was over 40 degrees, how many days it was under 80 degrees. I said, there's no way you can have somebody hanging from a scaffold painting this mural. So I introduced him to a binder, which is like a contact paper, and I found a company that would install it, and also I insisted that they allow me to hire my former students as a part of the project. Now, if I go back, the reason I'm including this was one of the vice president kept saying, "But can he paint faces?" So this was my inspiration in getting the project done. Now, I'm 5'10". If you notice how big each face is, the gentleman on the right was the first black police officer who graduated from the academy in Atlanta, and he could not arrest white people. I mean, each one of the individuals I painted had a very unique story, and so I would give these artists a map, and they would go up and install the piece, and I talked to them by cell phone where everything was supposed to go. So every 3 months there would be faces that appear on this wall. This was the first phase, the second phase. This was the final phase. It took me 2 years, 6 months, 17 days, 14 hours, and 32 minutes. It's one of the largest projects I've been. And this is my personal work. This is a piece that is if you're in Washington, D.C., at the National Museum of African American History and Culture, this piece is in their collection. Now, one of the unique things is I'm bending wood. Every medium I use has to do with some type of event that have occurred. If you think about wood, African Americans, they were lynched on a tree. So I'm bending wood. And if you're in Atlanta, in the International Concourse, I'm the only American artist in there right now. This is an installation I did called Soul Ties That Matter. I went to the airport and I asked people, 47 people from 25 different countries, what were some of the most important things that they felt that their family should know? And these words kept coming up: faith, family, love, friends, hope, dreams, and peace. It's kind of hard to see, but etched into the aluminum are different patterns and symbols that emphasize these words. And in 2021, I started reading these books. And in reading these books, I noticed that everything came back to voting and gerrymandering. This is my exhibition, which was just in Arkansas at Ernst Fine Art of some of the pieces. The exhibition movement, it was entitled, "Where Do We Go From Here?" And it's about gerrymandering voting. This piece is called "Our Tide in Politics to Cover Up." Underneath those tide and those scarf shapes are counties in Georgia where gerrymandering is prevalent. It's Polk County, Floyd County, Forsyth County, and Glenn County. And then I did a series called The Dirty South. This is the state of Mississippi. Where you see the dirt, that's where gerrymandering occurs a lot in Mississippi. And each state, the dirt I received from those states, that's actual dirt that came from Mississippi. And you see the images on the wall here. You got Alabama on the left, Arkansas, Texas, Kentucky, and Mississippi on the end. Then I created a series of banners of the swing states. On those necktie shapes and on those scarf shapes are court cases that dealt with gerrymandering. And you see in the center of the tondo shape is the state of Georgia. And in the state of Georgia, one of the things that we had to deal with, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act have not been passed by the Congress yet. So this is something that we're dealing with. And these are the three banners. On the left is North Carolina. And one of their slogans is "Stronger Together, Yet So Far Apart." In the middle is Georgia. And on the end, on the right side is Florida. Instead of using a former President Trump slogan, "Make America Great Again," on the banner is "Subscribe, Make America Responsible." So this is the ballot box that was part of the show. It was called "Black to the Future." And in doing my research, I found out that there was a black man who invented the mailbox. And back in the 60s, the mailboxes, the ballot boxes, they looked like mailboxes. So as I kept doing my research, I asked my friends to ask their grandparents and parents, what was some of your experiences in trying to vote? This Sharon Atkins, she was from South Carolina. She said that she was asked to recite the preamble in order to vote. Everybody I talked to, they were in the 80s and the 90s. A lot of them did not want to even be interviewed, but they shared their experiences. Michelle Parker, she was 87 years old. She was from Edgefield, South Carolina. She said that she was asked how many seeds in a watermelon. There was another gentleman said he was asked how many bubbles in a bar of soap. And this was one of the ones that was very, very interesting. Ernestine Parker from Oconee, Florida said, before you can go to vote, every 3 days, there would be a series of things that happen. There'd be number one, it'd be a series of cross burnings. The next day, it'd be a series of nooses hanging from the telephone poles. And the third day, there would be this sign that said, it's best not you be hanging around here to vote. And so on the other side of the ballot box, I created a noose in the shape of a necktie. James Stewart was asked how many bullets could come in a 5-pound box. So what I did, I put the names of people who was killed by the cops on this ballot box. On the end of the bullets, it's like Breonna Taylor, James John and other individuals that were killed by the cops. There was a lady out of Mississippi said she was asked how many black eyed peas come in the bag, how many nails come in a 10-pound box, how many jelly beans in a jar, how many bow ties come in a box, how many buttons in a jar, how many seeds are in okra, how many gumballs come in a gumball machine, and how many marbles come in a jar. And this is a catalog that was part of the exhibition. If you're interested in one, they are on Amazon, or you can find them on my website. Are there any questions, anything?
It's not a question. I just want to sound like your art is really nice.
Good morning. Your work is absolutely phenomenal. But I'd like to know what made you choose the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
What made you choose UAPB?
Oh, that's a good question. I was, at that time, I had there were like 11 scholarship offers. There was some in art, there was some in sports, and there was some in academic. But UAPB had 4 men that changed my life forever. The late John Howard, Terrence Corbin, Henry Linton, Ernest Davison. I mean, they were the ones that really changed my life. And I saw 4 black men who were selling artwork and doing extremely well. That made me feel like I could do the same. And I always say that's the best decision I ever made in my life. And I have to thank my high school art teacher, Mary Ann Stafford, because she was the one encouraging me, and she introduced me to those guys. Thank you.
Outstanding job, and I was educated there. I don't know about anybody else, but I learned a lot. And I did go to Barbara Hearn's art thing when you had your display up there, and I got to actually see your work. It was really good. That's how I was like,
Thank you.
"We need to have him here."
Where's his home?
Huh?
Where does he live now?
In Atlanta. Or Georgia. He stays in Georgia. I don't know if this is actual Atlanta, but that's why he's on Zoom. They would like to meet you in person, so the next time you in Arkansas, let us know.
I sure will. Thank you.